Good day, everybody. My name is Bobby Salveson, and I'm going to be reviewing CorelDraw, or specifically vector-based artwork for engravers. So my focus is 15 years of experience. I'm self-taught, and I've been using Corel since, I'm going to say probably back from version 3. Everything I did, I had to learn on my own. So what this whole series is for drag, rotary, burnishing, sublimation, drag, laser, you name it. Anything you can do in the engraving industry is what I handle. But I got a little creative with the CorelDraw. So though there's millions of things out there to teach you how to use the software itself, I'm specifically for engraving. So I started out doing the basics, but there's a million places out there. So I'm just going to get right into the actual layouts. So my first project that I'm going to throw out there is a big one. I was given a task to a customer came in and wanted to upgrade an existing plaque that had 33 nameplates. It was a perpetual board, and they wanted to increase it to accommodate an additional 30 years, so one plate per year of plates, and transfer over all the stuff previously. So right up front in this this tutorial, this is what we're going to do. We're going to relay out on the new plaque, and then we're going to have the laser do all the layout on the plaque for us. It's going to leave us a template. So instead of doing this like I used to do by hand with rulers and whatnot, now I use the laser to cut paper templates out, and then I just lay it on and then just pop the holes. So if you're interested in hearing about how to do that, listen on. All right, so let's get right into it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my my page, and this is obviously not the right size. So I'm going to show you all my little tricks and tips on how to make things go quickly. I'm all about efficiency. The more layouts I get to do in a time frame, then the more money I make. So I am a big proponent of knowing how to set up your CorelDraw for the buttons and the switches that you need the most, and use keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so I'm going to show you, and at any point just pause the program and do them in yours. Are there ways to do everything 15 different? Absolutely. There's 15 ways to do anything in this program, but I try to do it with the least amount of clicks, the least amount of time. So the board that we're switching over to is a 32-inch wide by 23-inch tall board. And when I click that, there is my whole sheet. So basically this box is showing you 23 inches by 32. Now, I have a slight bevel on the edges, so I want to stay 1 inch away. So I can either do this a couple ways. I can put a guideline and I grab this ruler and drag it in and set it for 1 inch through changing this area. So right now it'll be 1 inch. There's my bevel. Or I could do all four in one shot. So let me show you how to do that. Let me delete this. I take a square and I draw it out here. Now I want 1 inch on both sides. So 32 inches minus 2 inches is going to be 30 inches wide by 21 inches wide, high. And there you go. Now I want it centered to page. So P is the center to page. I click off it. Now, if I left this as is, this would engrave, and I do not want it to engrave. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take this rectangle. Now, obviously, I have the Object Manager up, which you can find in the Object menu in this one. In the older versions, it was in Tools, but you would turn on the Object Manager. This is a huge thing. I keep this up all the time, and you can extend this a little bit if you need to, which I actually like to do because you have plenty of real estate here. So I'm going to take this rectangle and drag it down to the guides. So now this guide is going to be universal on all pages. You can also change this, but this is for another day. So we're going to do that. Now, if I left this and I clicked on this, I can still move this template. I do not want to move this thing. So I'm going to put it back in the center, click off it, and then I'm going to click this little pencil, and it locks it. So now this is not even there anymore. All you see is what you got. It does not print. It's a guide for you as the engraver now. So now I know my area. A couple other things that I know. I know I have a bronze casting up here and a couple of tricks. You see how this circle's floppy? If I press and hold the control button, it always stays in a circle. All right, and another thing, I'll get into that later. Another thing is you can press and shift the hold Control and Shift, and now it goes around a center point. Not in this application, it's important, but sometimes it is. So let's make just a circle. Let go. It is not the right size, so let's change it to 6.25 by 6.25. There it is. So I'm going to take this circle, move it around there. I don't know if it's right. And I have 4 fire department badges that I had to make. So let's just set the first badge up first. It is going to be 2 3/4 inches tall, wide, and it's going to be 3 inches tall. There it is. Now I need 4 of them. So there's 2 different ways you can do this. I can do a transformation, which you can find in transformations, and click on any one of these, and it's going to open up this flyout. Or I can do it 2 down and dirty ways that I like to do better. Now, if I'm just moving 1 or 2 copies, I'm going to grab this center point, slide it over, and while I'm holding the left button, right click it. You see the plus just popped up. That means duplicate. Another way you can do it, if I have, and I'll do it in a little while, so I'm just going to duplicate this a couple times because I want 4 of them total. And there we go. It's not aligned. It's not distributed. It's okay. We're still loose right now. It's okay. Next thing I know is I had a plate that was supplied to me. And I know through experience that this plate was a pre-made plate by Tropar, and it is 2 3/4 wide by 7/8 tall, and the holes, we'll get to the holes in a little bit. So I take my square, I make up a rectangle, and let's put the real numbers in here, 2 3/4 by 7/8. And let's say I don't know my decimal equivalents. So I don't know what the number is. 2 7/8, I don't know what it is. So here's a nice thing. All I got to do is put in 7/8, like 7/8. And when I hit enter, it puts in the proper decimal equivalent. So it doesn't matter what it is. If it's, 5/30 seconds, if you put 2, like 2 inches and 5/30 seconds, 2 space 5/30 second, it'll put the right decimal in there. So that's a nice little trick. I'm going to center this to page because it's going to make my adjustments very easily. Now I'm going to hit F2 because I'm going to zoom in just around here. And here we are. Go off to the pick. I'm going to just deselect it. And here we are. Let me go back to where I was. Now I need to put the screw holes because the screw holes are going to be key for my whole layout. So I'm going to make a screw hole. Let's hold the control button and let's make it small like so. And I'm going to come down here and put it in here. I don't really know if that's close or even correct right now. What I did do is I took my ruler and I centered from the center of this hole to the center of the next hole. I know is 2 and I know it's 2 3/16 inches across. Now again, there's many ways to do this, but this is, I think, the most efficient way of doing it. Right up here is the nudge selection. So right now it's set for 1/100th of an inch. So every time I click this and move it right or left, it moves it 1/100th of an inch. Very small amount. But I know I want 2 3/16. So I'm going to change this to 2. And let's do that little trick I just showed you, 2 3/16. Hit enter, which is 2.18 inches. I click on the circle. Control C copies it. Control V paste it, and you can't see it, but it's right on top of each other. And now I run it right 1 click, and there she is. Now, this is perfectly aligned, and most importantly, this spacing is proper. So I want to group these 2 because I do not want to modify the spacing. I want them to move as a unit. So I click on that. And now I want these things to be all centered to page. I want all these pieces. And if you look over here, I have my group of 2 circles and my rectangle. And all I have to do is hit P, or I can hit E and C, which will do vertical and horizontal. I don't know why they picked E and C, but I've just gotten used to it. So just got to bear with it. Okay. Okay, now before I go any further, I want the laser to cut this in a vector. Because as of right now, and I think the default in Corel is to do slightly more thickness. So remember, the lasers see thickness as the definition between raster, going left and right, or vector, using the tracing and cutting out in a single beam. So if I hit the Shift F4, I'm whoops, yep, let's make sure I'm on the table. Shift F4, I see the whole sheet. Now, before I go any further, I want to make sure that everything is thin because I actually want this thing to vector cut. So I'm going to select everything. And in previous versions of X7, then X7, the right here below the interactive fill tool, there'll be a little pen. Looks like an old ink pen. But we're going to add that in because that is not here and I use that a lot. So I'm going to add that tool, which is down here somewhere. Where is it? Outline fly out. Good. Now I got my tool back. Now what I want to do is I want to make it hairline outline. Doesn't look like anything changed, but trust me, it did. Okay, so with this grouped again, because I want it to be a unit, I need to put 10 wide. I want to do 10 across. And I'm going to do 3 rows plus 3. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So now I got to put 10 across here. Now I can do that right click with the left click and the right copy, or as I slide across, I hit the space bar a whole bunch of times. Now it looks like a mess, but I'm going to straighten it all out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, select all these things, and then I have these pre-done up here, and you can find these things in the command. I just basically drag them in, or you can just hit the E button. Now all of them aligned horizontally. And now I want to distribute them, which is Shift P. That looks like a mess. Here's my way of checking this thing. If I select all these things, down here it says I have 12 of them. I have 2 too many. So let me delete 2 of them in the middle. Here's 1 and here's 2. Now, that spacing looks nice between the edge. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. Between the edge and this, but this is over. So let me bring it back in a little bit. That looks... Oops, let's move it a little bit more. Okay, let's align them once more with hitting the E button. And then we're going to hit Shift P. And that looks like a nice row. That looks like good spacing there. So now that row I want to use again and again and again. So here we go. I'm going to group it. Now I'm going to grab it, drag it down. Now I want this to be aligned. Can I do it later? Yes, I can. But if I can hold the Control button, it only goes vertical. Once, let go of the Control, twice, 3 times. Now I said I have to only use 3 of this one, but I know I need 3 more. 1, 2, come on, mama, 3. Okay, let's go back, check out the plaque so far. Let me modify this one. I'm going to ungroup it so I'm back to the plates. I have to knock it down to 3 plates, so I'm going to knock off all these, regroup these 3, and center it to the page, which is there. You can also get the center of the page by going to Object, Align, and Distribute. And here are all your shortcut keys. I would definitely recommend writing these down on a piece of paper and doing them, or you hit the Align and Distribute, and you can have a million different options here, but I don't use them because the quick keys are faster. Okay, so now we have to transfer over the old wording. I'm just going to move this up a little bit to the new plaque. Now, the old wording is not going to fit on the new plate, so I'm going to make a brand new plate that's going to be about that. And it's going to be, let's say, 10 inches by 2 inches. Why? Because I feel like it. So I'm going to bring that down here. There's my 2 new header plates. Now let's start. We have everything set up. Everything is ready. We're going to align and distribute everything. So this is how the computer works now. I want everything to be a block. I want it to be distributed. I want it to be aligned. I want everything to be a unit. So 1, 2, 3, 4 badges, and the casting is going to be 1 unit. Let's get them set up. I'm going to grab just those 4 things. I'm going to align them horizontally, which is the same thing as the E key. Then I'm going to distribute them horizontally. That is the Shift P key. And then I'm going to group them. Great. This is its own block. This is a block of row, 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 row. Your boat. Row, row, row. and my block. So everything is basically a block now. I'm going to take all these blocks. I'm going to center them to the sheet horizontally. Everything got in center. And then I'm going to distribute vertically. Now the thing is that, remember that it's distributing between the bottom of the bottom row and the top of the top row. So everything is perfectly aligned now. At this point, save, because you've completely made a proof for the person. So you can send this over to the people, and they're going to be very happy with this. But I said in the beginning that we're going to use this layout to then cut some paper out and make this all work. So how are we going to do that? Well, my laser is a 13 by 25, 30 watt, actually made by Zenatech. It's an XLT. And the biggest piece of paper I could put in there is an 11 by 17 tabloid piece of paper. But this will work with anything. You just might need to pepper it a little more. But it's real simple once you figure it out. So I went to Staples. I bought a pack of regular 11 by 17 copy paper. And let's do it. Let's do this right now. So I'm going to take this layout and I'm going to draw a sheet of paper. And it's going to be 17 by 11. Now, just for our purposes here so that you can see it, I'm going to right click on the red, which means outline only, not to fill it. And I'm going to make it a little thicker so you can see it at home. That you can't see that. Let's make it 2 points. It's a little better. Okay. So I want to move this right to the edge. Now let's zoom in and let's get this perfect. And there it is. Okay. F4 zooms out. Now, there's sheet 1. I'm going to take it, slide it over with the control key to the other edge, right click, dropping a copy. Here's a little trick for you. Now remember, if I want to grab this plate, I can't do it because it's part of the group, which means I have to grab the entire group. But let's say I want to grab only these 2 pieces of paper without going around all of it, because if I swipe this whole thing, all the things inside come with it. So I hold Alt and grab just the 2 little bits. There's my 2 rectangles as verified up here. Slide it up, hold the control, and about there. There is no definite, oh, you got to do it exactly this. All I'm trying to do is make sure that I have an overlap, and you can see it through the middle here. I have an overlap, so that's going to allow me to align my pieces of paper. That's important. You're not going to be able to do this very well if you don't overlap things. So now, just for my reference, so I can remember which ones are which, I'm going to go in here and put 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are going to be raster, but that's just for alignment. Okay, I'm going to go and add 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of paper. Okay, and let's go back to page 2. Change it over to tabloid. It's the wrong orientation. I want it the other way. Here we are. And do this again. Tabloid orientation. Do you have to do it in this order? No. Tabloid. Oops. Tabloid orientation. Great. Let's go back to page 1. Let's zoom out. Now we're going to zoom out even more. We're going to grab page 1, which remember there's an overlap, so we want to go over to the overlap. Oh, forgot something. Oops. Okay, I made a mistake. We didn't make a mistake. We're just going to fix something. So these 4 rectangles, and how I did that was I clicked 1, went to the bottom, hold Shift, click that. I'm going to move them to the top. For no other reason than I want to everything built from here down. Again, I hit the Shift key. I want to break apart. So now let's just do a little grouping review. This groups together. This breaks apart. Okay, so this will break apart to the individual plates. But I want the holes, the plates, everything broken. So I go to the micro spot. I go ungroup all. When I do this, look at what happened over here. Everything expanded. All the holes, all the plates, everything blew apart. That's what I wanted. Okay, so that's fixed. We're going to grab the whole sheet 1. Do you have to be super accurate? No. Look how far away I am. I am not accurate right now. But I made sure I got the entire sheet. So I'm getting all of the top number 1 sheet, and I'm going to take it and slide it over here. Do not let go of the left click. Right click, because we're duplicating, and let go. Okay? So now let's zoom in just on here so we can kind of see what we're going to do. Now you see that there's plates that are hanging off, holes that are hanging off. I don't want them. Alternate. Just touch the outlines. Delete. Delete that one. Deletes that circle. So now everything on that page is vector and set. Now, here's another quick little trick. When I back up, anything left off of the sheet will go to every other sheet. So that's a quick way of you, instead of having to control, paste, control, I just take this thing now. I want to move it in this group. P. Ungroup. Take the red outline off. That was just for layout purposes. And there we are. You're going to still see this blue outline. Do not worry about it. It's not worth your time and effort to change it on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th sheets. It works for the first. Other than that, it's garbage. Back to the first sheet. Let's do sheet 2. Slide it over, right click, alternate, just get those, delete, delete. Okay, we're just gonna go to page 2, take this thing, group it, P, ungroup. And again, I'm moving a little quicker because why not? I'm just going to slide this over here so I can play with it a little bit. Get rid of these ones. Alternate. I didn't get anything. Group it. Go to page 3. Center it. Ungroup it. Dump the red. What did I do? Oh boy. I'm Control Zing to go back to where I was because it looks like, and Control Y. Go forward one. Okay, it's back. Let's do that section again because I must not have copied and I went too fast. There's my copy. Group it. Page 3. Ungroup. Just going to zoom in because I'm seeming to have a little bit of a problem here. There we go. Group it. Last page. Take this, put it in the middle. Ungroup, take the red off. Okay, so what we're going to have here now is when we put each individual plate, so when you engrave, you're only going to be engraving on pieces of paper, and for my laser, I'm talking like you're running at like 20% power at like 60 speed for both your raster and your vector. Be very careful because you will blow right through the paper. You want to make it just so it burns it a little bit. It gives you like a pen line. You're going to engrave pages 2 through 5. And then what I would recommend is you print page 1. Let's print page 1. And because it's going to be, it's 23 by 32. There's no way it's going to be on there. Fit the page. Be careful with the fit the page because if you're engraving and you do the fit the page and you save it like this, when it graves again on real stuff, it won't fit right. So we lay out in real distances. We don't fit the pages. I'm only saying that because it's a huge layout. Okay, these red boxes we do not need, so at some point you can just take them and dump them along with these 1 through 4s, and that's your layout. Here are your templates. You just lay them on the board in order, just how you had them on page 1. And that's it. Good luck. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below this video. And I'm here for helping. In the future episodes, we're going to be going over how to turn logos into something engravable. Thanks.